Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. This lesson is from our course Intermediate Course 2. If you'd like to see the rest of the lessons in this course, download the jam tracks and download the corresponding eGuide, which includes detailed charts and diagrams for each lesson. Click the link on the screen or look in the description below. Welcome to Lesson 1. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you some things about fretboard layout and note memorization. So in the last course, I taught you the first notes that you should memorize, and just as a quick review, we had your open string. Starting with your sixth string, you had E, A, D, G, B, E. Those are your open strings. Then your natural notes I taught you on the sixth string were F, G, A. Then the natural notes on the fifth string were B, C, D. And then the first string mimicked the sixth string, so it's still F, G, A. And then I taught you that in between all of the natural notes were a sharp or a flat. So in between F and G is an F sharp or G flat, and so on. And you should be pretty good at that by now if you're on to this course. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you more notes to memorize. They're still going to be on the sixth and fifth string, which then gives you your first string as well, since it's the same as the sixth string. But they're really important notes to memorize and are going to get you further up the neck, which will be important for chords that we get into later in this course. So the first thing I want to talk about is your 12th fret. And your 12th fret usually has a double marker of some sort. You can see mine has two dots in it, 1, 2. The rest of the dot markers are just single dots. Where you see two markers, that's representing your 12th fret. And that's important because your 12th fret notes are the same notes as your open string. So your E, A, D, G, B, E, your open string, starting with your sixth string, are the same in the 12th fret. So E, A, D, G, B, E. The only difference is that they're what's called an octave higher. And an octave higher on the guitar is 12 frets apart. So if you started with your open E on the sixth string, and you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's an E as well. And that actually works out no matter what note you start with on the guitar. If I was to start on this G right here and go up 12 frets to right here, that's a G as well. So an octave apart is the same note, but an octave higher, meaning on the guitar, it's 12 frets apart. So this is an octave higher in pitch than the open string. This sixth string fretted in the 12th fret is the same note as the open string, just an octave higher. They're both E's. And that would be the same for everything happening in your 12th fret. They all mimic your open strings, just an octave higher. And that's important because that means at the 12th fret up, your fretboard is just repeating itself. So everything that's happening from your open strings up is just repeated from the 12th fret up. So what you can consider here is from your 12th fret up is just another mini copy of what's happening down below, just an octave higher. And it just depends how high your frets go, how long your neck is, to how many of these notes are going to happen again an octave higher. For example, I have G here, like I said, and I have G here an octave higher. I have A here, I have A here an octave higher. And on this guitar, which is an acoustic guitar, so it doesn't have as many as an electric guitar, I go to a C note right here, which is an octave higher than this note right here, which is a C as well. So these are 12 frets apart. So just realize that no matter what happens down here, it's going to be repeated an octave higher, starting from your 12th fret up, if your fretboard has enough room. So I'm going to run out of room. For example, this note right here, which is a D, doesn't happen again on this same string because my fretboard's run out of room. I don't have enough frets to do that. Like I said, my last one that I run into is this right here, which mimics this, which are both C notes an octave apart. So when you're memorizing your fretboard, you actually have less to memorize than you may think. Just memorize starting with your open strings through your 11th fret, and then everything that happens from your 12th fret on is the same as what's happening with your open strings on. So that's the first bit of information to realize. So that means all the notes that you memorized, your F, G, A, and then your F sharp or G flat, G sharp or A flat, is happening up here. So you have F, G, A, F sharp, G flat, G sharp, A flat, and so on. That's all happening above your 12th fret. The next thing, I'm actually going to teach you new notes to memorize. So like we went over, you have the F, G, A, which were your natural notes, and your A was on the 6th string, 5th fret. I'm on the 6th string right now. I told you also in the last course that all natural notes are a whole step apart except E and F and B and C. So that means from A to my next whole step up is a B. But from B and C is a half step, so that means if I go up half a step to the 8th fret, that's a C note. So now I have B on the 7th fret, 6th string, and C on the 8th fret, 6th string. And then if I go up one more whole step, I'm on D. So memorize those natural notes, B, C, D, which is easy to know where they are because you're going from A, you've already memorized that on the 5th fret. Whole step up is B, half step is C because between B and C is always a half step, and then whole step up is D. And then if you go up another whole step, you're on the E that we talked about in the 12th fret, which is the same as the E with the open string, just an octave higher. So now the natural notes on the 6th string are F, G, A, B, C, D, and then back to E, an octave higher. That means it's the same thing on the 1st string, since the 1st string mimics the 6th string for note names, so you have F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And the thing about the 1st string and the 6th string, they have the same note names, but the 1st string is actually 2 octaves higher than the 6th string. So if you were going straight horizontally on one string, that'd be 24 frets. And then of course, in between all your natural notes are your sharps and flats. So between A and B, I have an A sharp or B flat. Because if you were to raise the A, you'd have A sharp. If you were to lower the B, you'd have B flat. And that'd be the same between all the notes. Between B and C, there's obviously nothing, that's a half step. Between C and D is C sharp or D flat, and between D and E is D sharp or E flat. So that should be pretty easy to recognize at this point. And then again happens on the 1st string as well. So that's the 6th string. Now you have the 5th string, and before we had A, B, C, D for our natural notes. Again, if we go up a whole step, we have E, then this time a half step to F, because E and F is where you have a half step between natural notes, then a whole step to G, then a whole step to A, which is the same as the open string, an octave higher. So you have E on the 7th fret, F on the 8th fret, G on the 10th fret, and A on the 12th fret. And then again, between all those natural notes are your sharps and flats. So between D and E is D sharp or E flat. Between E and F, there's nothing, that's a half step. Between F and G is F sharp or G flat, and between G and A is G sharp or A flat. An important thing to start doing is recognizing where your dots are, or your fret markers. So if you have a guitar with dots like mine, you'll have little fret markers that are just dots. There's other types of fret markers that can be more ornate, or some guitars just have them up here and not actually on the fretboard. Mine has it both, it has it on the fretboard, and then I can see them up top right here. Start recognizing where those dots land in relationship to the notes. So on the 6th string I have G on the 1st dot, A on the 2nd dot, B on the 3rd dot, and then C sharp or D flat on the 4th dot, and then the double marker is the same as the open string, so E. And then the next string you have C on the 1st dot, D on the 2nd, E on the 3rd, F sharp or G flat on the 4th, and then your double marker 12th fret is A again, same as the open string. So start visualizing that as well. That's really going to help you. For example, if you start here, you can realize, oh, this is A on the 2nd dot, so this has to be B, and you can start making references like that. You can also go backwards. For example, if you're right here on the 10th fret and you can't remember, you don't want to start all the way down from open string and count the musical alphabet up. Instead, you can go, oh, the 12th fret is the same as the open string, so that's an A. That means if I go down a whole step, I'm on G, because between G and A is a whole step, and you can start thinking of it that way as well. So for practice, do the same thing that we did in the last course when you memorized notes. You can just start on the 6th string and go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and just do all the natural notes. Make sure that you say the note name and play it so that you get it in your ears and are able to recognize the actual note name with the pitch. So do it all the way up to the 12th fret, all the way back down to the open string. Just do that over and over. And then once you can do that with the natural notes, randomize it. So just start with any note. You can start with G, go all the way up to E on the 12th fret, C, and so on. Just randomize the order. And once you can do that with the natural notes, then do it with the sharps and flats on the 6th string still. Exact same way, just start with the lowest sharp or flat, go all the way up to the 11th fret, that would be your last sharp or flat, and then randomize it. First just do it in order up and down, then randomize it. Then move on to the 5th string, do the exact same thing, and the 1st string you can do as well, that's just the same as the 6th string. And then once you can do that up and down and then randomly on one string, just do it randomly with all the strings. So you could start with A, B, D sharp or E flat and so on. And just do it over and over so that no matter where you land, you know what note name that is. So on the 6th, the 5th, and the 1st string, no matter where you land up to the 12th fret, you know what note that is. And then you can work past the 12th fret once you get that down. And just remember that everything that happens after the 12th fret is everything that's happening down here. And it just depends how many frets your guitar has to how many notes it's going to mimic down here on your fretboard. And you can go ahead and move on to the next lesson now. Just work on this a little bit each day. It's not something you have to totally memorize right now. Just add it in your practice routine. And you can move on to the next lesson and we'll keep moving forward.